Morena, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us for our Zealed webinar series. My name is Rhonda, and with me is Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Rhonda.
We're both presenting today's webinar. We are using this new webinar tool, so fingers crossed it works well. If you've got any problems, please just let us know. But we tried it for the first time last week, and it worked really well. So this is our last webinar for the year. I can't believe it. The year has gone by so quickly. And the topic for this webinar is year-end wrap-up, marketing trends, best practices, and predictions for 2022. Both Lisa and I wanted to present today's webinar because we both have been in must be well over 90% of the webinars we do at Zealed, right? And I know you also do digital boost webinars, Lisa. So
Correct.
you between the two of us, we've done a lot of webinars this year. And of course, all our webinars are trying to keep up with trends, trying to keep up with best practices. So we kind of felt between the two of us, we've had a lot of hand in the trends or monitoring everything over 2021. And so we were both quite excited to be able to present today. Before we start, just a little bit of housekeeping. So if you've not been in with us last week or excuse me, with any webinar with us, I'll just go through some housekeeping points. If you, at any point, you feel free to send a message into the chat or ask a question, you can switch between chat mode and question mode at the bottom right corner of the chat on your dashboard. We will save your questions until the end. However, please feel free to post them as we go, as it may make sense to bring them up during the segment. Once we get to the Q&A section, you can participate by either requesting to speak. There's that hand part where you can speak live, or you can just post them into the Q&A area. If you would like to go back to this webinar or watch previous webinars, we do record all of the webinars and they can be found on our website and YouTube channel. We will also send you a link of today's webinar recording later, which you'll be able to submit questions on, even though it's post-event. This new tool does some of those fancy things. So just kind of confirming what we're covering today. We've got 2021 marketing numbers. Thought it was always good to review the numbers as the first step. And then 2021 marketing and consumer behaviour trends. Then we're looking at using the 2021 data to create a plan for 2022. And then also trends to look out for in the upcoming year. So let's start. So we're going to start with that whole review of 2021, really. And first of all, looking at the numbers. And I think this is probably just a general good rule anyway, when you're looking at any kind of trends or even looking at your own successes in the year, is to go back to the stats. And we're looking and using NZ Post stats because they've done a really good job and they produce a quarterly report on e-commerce trends in New Zealand. And I think that's really important that we're looking at New Zealand specific stats. If we're looking for those trends, because although you keep one eye globally, what's happening in New Zealand can sometimes be a little different. And we saw that last year with our COVID situation being quite different to the global situation. And the trends were slightly different because of that. And it's no different. This year is really interesting. And I think when you look at this table, you can see that there's a small increase in online spending from Q1 to Q2, and then Q3 hits and it went crazy big with 4.8 billion. And this is an increase of 3.28 billion. And I think if you look at the percentages, you can really see how big it was. It was 316% increase in online spending in one quarter. So quite significant. And at this time, the number of online shoppers has actually decreased slightly. I thought that was interesting as well. So it's not like 2022 when we saw a large, really huge volume of first-time online shoppers, which really boosted that dollar value. What we're seeing in 2021 is those online shoppers are spending more. They're doing more transactions. And again, if you look at the average basket size, it's not changed. So they're actually doing more transactions. And that's what that last statistic is showing. The number of online transactions has increased significantly with a 22.5 increase. That's a huge increase.
Massive.
Yeah.
I think it's showing us as well that people are getting more comfortable with it. So people who maybe were those first time shoppers are now, oh, that was pretty easy, and now I'm going to keep coming back and try other shops. So
Yeah.
the opportunities just rise there.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So yeah, if we break it down by quarter now, so Rhonda and I are just going to go through that. When we review it that first quarter, so 27% increase in online spending compared to quarter one in 2020. So that's a huge amount of increase, and that was just when the pandemic sort of hit at the end of this, but there was still an increase. So it does show us that although the pandemic's driven it forward a lot, there was still increases in online, and I think that's important to remember as we continue through the phases of what's coming up over the next few years. And that 62,000 Kiwis shopped online for the first time, and the industries that are the most popular in quarter one this year were homewares, appliances and electronics, so that was up 31%. And then we had sort of food, groceries and liquor. So I think people are starting to look online more for their shopping rather than going to the supermarket. It's about saving time as well. So yes, there's been restrictions and things we've faced this year, but I think it's also showing us that people are using online shopping to save time. So those were the leading factors in quarter one.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. And going into quarter two, it was interesting that we saw a 6% decrease in online spending compared to the same quarter the year before in 2022. And I think this is important where you've got to look at what the events were that were triggering that. And of course, quarter two last year was when we were in those various national levels of lockdown and for the very first time. And so last year, that quarter saw a huge increase. So although we saw a decrease this year, it's still significant compared to the year before, 2 years ago. So it's not necessarily a decreased trend to be looking at. And in line with this prediction, there's been a general shift globally to move transactions online. And so this has been predicted before COVID. And I think all COVID had done was accelerate that. And we just saw that just bounce a little bit back. And again, the recreation, entertainment, books and stationery sectors continue to make a really strong comeback. Clothing, footwear and health and beauty sectors also saw an increase in sales during that second quarter.
Great. And then we move into quarter three, which was the last quarter that we were in. So this is where we had restrictions come back into place. So this is August, well, coming after that. This is that space of the year. So what this did is, again, we saw a huge increase on quarter three last year. Last year, quarter three, I think we were actually coming out of this again. So it was a complete opposite. And so we saw a 22% increase. But I think what we're trying to say overall is, yes, there's been increases and decreases over the quarters, but overall in the last 2 years, the overall increase has actually continued to be strong. And so 17.26 million online transactions in this quarter. That is just massive. And I can, quarter four's not out yet, but everything with the sales that happen and Christmas shopping, I can only see that's increased because I think people are looking for that ease of shopping.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Lisa, that NZ Post released an October report just for Auckland because of us being in lockdown, and the numbers were significantly increased again. But what was interesting around that report was they saw an increase nationally, not just Auckland, even though Auckland's been the city in lockdown. Yeah.
Definitely. No, I agree with that. And then, our industries that were popular were clothing and footwear at this time, where we saw the most increase in revenue with 37% increase. So I think looking over this as well, we're seeing different industries that are increasing each quarter. So again, it's telling us overall the trends are growing. Digital being online is growing. And so if you're not there already or you're not fully set up there, it's looking at how to do that and be utilizing that for your company. because long term, regardless of lockdowns and those restrictions, this is just going to continue to grow because people have found it easy. So yeah, now I guess I can moving on to our marketing and consumer behaviour.
Thank you, Lisa. So I think when you're looking at that back, throughout this year, there's been some real standout things, and one of them is buying local. It's been a really strong trend in 21, and I honestly feel it's the Kiwi way to support each other. We still have to have a quality product, has to be cost effective, etc. But really, Kiwis prefer to buy from Kiwis, with more than 70% of online sales from local products, which is just, I think, quite astounding. And then I think it really shows Kiwis' commitment to supporting local retailers. And I think we've seen this a lot in the media, encouraging consumers to buy local, really knowing that supporting small businesses is important to our economy, and to being Kiwi, I actually think, is how it's been kind of messaged out there. Another strong trend for 2021 has been the uptake in buy now, pay later options. So the buy now, pay later trend increased significantly in Q2 in 2001, with more than 500,000 Kiwis using this method at checkout. And there were 1.85 million buy now, pay later transactions recorded in Q2. This payment method is popular among shoppers aged 45 years and below, although I'm above that age bracket and I've used it several times. But anyway, if your target market or product is aimed at below 45 and below, I think you have to now have at least one buy now, pay later option. There's a whole group of them, and sometimes there's ones that fit your business better than others, depending on your profit or your product value, etc. And I think we actually do have a webinar on buy now, pay later options, and we probably will look at one in the new year specifically on them. But I think what this is showing is it's not going away, and you could be losing sales if you don't have this option added to your cart. And the interesting thing as well is that buy now, pay now later, is not isolated to any one sector. So it's across all types of products, which I thought was really interesting. That I thought it might be on just fairly decent size things where people are just taking a little while to pay. Yeah, and I think that what it means is people have a whole myriad of reasons of why they're using it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the other thing is it's actually not just for e-commerce too. So for example, my hairdresser offers it in salon. So when you go get your hair done, you can actually use one of these payments to pay off getting your hair done. And so if you're a service business, don't think that it's just for online, just for people buying products. It can be used for a service.
It's funny you say that. My sister does the same thing, because she, her hairdressing bill's over 300 ago. She's, anyway, but and she just does it on that, and she said she feels much, she could have the money to pay it all off, but she just feels better about it doing it in the service. So there's a whole lot of reasons why people use it, right? It's not just because they can't afford it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Like similar to me, like I budget $50 every time I get paid. And so to have my payments in line with that make me feel a lot better, rather than forking out $300, for example. So, it just helps with people and budgets. So, and I think the risk is with the company, it's not with you. So that's also the nice thing about these buy now, pay laters.
Nice.
So moving on to some other marketing consumer trends, that behaviors we saw in 2021. So international shopping is on the rise. So even though we saw this huge increase in a lot of people supporting local by shopping within their areas, people have started to reach out internationally as well. And there are lots of reasons for that. You know, we don't sometimes have what other countries have in terms of some products. I know specifically there's something I want for my garage gym, and you can't get it in New Zealand. It's actually patented. It's from the States. I actually have to buy it from this person. And so, you know, there are sometimes restrictions, or that we just don't have it here. And sometimes also the cost can be a factor for people. So with this, we are seeing people shop overseas as well, and that has increased. So clothing and footwear, as well as department and variety miscellaneous sort of things. So, you know, all your little knickknacks, and, you know, someone looking at placemats might be an example of who's going internationally to shop. I think also sales help with that. So a lot of big international companies do sales around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, etc., which helps increase that. I do want to add in here though, we also have a lot of people purchasing from us over to go overseas as well. So I think we need to realize that there are Kiwi made products that people want and that they can only get from New Zealand. And so if you sort of fall in that industry or you're not sure, I would look into that and see if there is options to look internationally. So with this, and we've already said it a couple of times, we've seen higher transactions with smaller average basket sizes, which is telling us that people are wanting to shop online. They're coming back to shop online and find what they need, and they're not just doing it for bigger one-off purchases or maybe purchasing everything they need at once. They're doing smaller purchases over time, which is, for me, I feel it's showing their trust in the system. They know they can just pop online and make a transaction and then later on do it again. I think one of probably the things that maybe help there is free shipping if you have it. Free shipping will encourage people to purchase from you because they're not worrying about the shipping. Whereas I know a lot of people find shipping, if it's a paid thing, they will either then try and group everything together, or they would rather come into the store or pick up. So, you know, we mentioned it already, but an average Kiwi shopper makes a purchase 8.2 times in Q3 2021. So that's a 30% increase from 2020, which again is very massive. So I think, you know, even though we've had vaccinations, we've had lots of going on within that Q3, it's still increasing online, and it's more of just people are adjusting to that way of life.
Thanks, Lisa. And then we move into the kind of advertising area, and it's no surprise that both Facebook and Google Ads continue to be top performing advertising platforms for Kiwis in 2021. Kiwi businesses have also started advertising with Stuff and New Zealand Herald, and we had a webinar earlier this year with Stuff around their advertising platform, and both of them have launched advertising tools, and I think it's because Stuff and New Zealand Herald are both trusted news portals, and given COVID and all the announcements happening, I think we're all kind of online at those news portals a lot, and so it makes sense that, you know, businesses can then advertise on them. So it's a trend that's happening, that where you can do business advertising on these news portals. So it's worth considering whether your budget is worth spreading between Facebook Google Ads, as well as these trusted news platforms. I'll pop a link in the chat shortly around our webinar on that. For video marketing, we saw that this was a trend in 2020, actually, with the prediction of it becoming more important in 2021. And this has been the case. Video content in all forms of advertising is seen as an essential conversion element. TikTok is a steadily rising social platform with over 700 million active global users. That's just incredible number. And this year has seen the rise of Reels. And so Reels are short, entertaining videos on Instagram where you can express your creativity and bring your brand to life. People come to Reels to participate in trends and also to learn new ideas. So Reels and TikTok have gone from being teenage entertainment tools to solid business marketing tools in 2021.
Yeah, it was about 3 months ago that they actually released TikTok for Business now.
There you go.
So yeah, it's definitely something that's there, and I won't say too much because we're going to talk about it a bit later. So some other interesting, this is sort of the interesting one for me, is memes. So memes are sort of funny little images with some text around it that's taken from something that's globally known, or a cartoon, or just a funny photo. So In a survey by Arrow Digital, so NZ company here, so 87% of businesses said they use emojis or memes in their social media posts. So people are starting to incorporate that because they're seeing people interact with this or finding it funny and sort of going haha and start interacting with it a lot more. So meme posts on social media are getting a massive increase in engagement among Kiwis, and in particular where the brand's using it to sort of encourage users to, this weather is mood, and if that was a coffee company, maybe they could go grab a coffee or something. So they're sort of talking about you can use them in ways to actually promote your business. And some brands have really jumped on this bandwagon by using memes, using emojis in their ads and posts, because it is becoming part of daily life almost. So, we went from a format of using emails and how we wrote things to people in very sales heavy sort of copy and driving people. We are now starting to use what's coming through in cultures in our day-to-day marketing. Then the other part is inclusivity in marketing. So this is very important with the generations that are coming through, for us to always remember, because our markets change a lot over time. And so in a survey by Deloitte, they did find that consumers aged 18 to 25 rely more on inclusive advertising when making a purchasing decision. So what does that mean? It means they're expecting businesses to take a stand on social issues. They're expecting businesses to really say what they're about and stick to that. So people are not just purchasing now from companies because they're been around for quite a long time, they're trusted, their friends use it, or things like that. They're actually also looking for people who take a stand on something that's happening, and fully support that in what they show. And so then with this, 90% also say they are more willing to purchase products that are beneficial to society. So people are looking at ways to improve their spending, climate change happening, etc. People are choosing companies that choose to use, recyclable packaging. People are using companies that are choosing to use biodegradable, shipping packaging that they can safely dispose of because it makes them feel like they're part of the solution for what's happening in the world. And then likewise, they like to support companies that are maybe taking a percentage and sharing it with a charity, or, I know there's quite a lot of brands who are sort of going, buy one and we gift one, the lunch one, I think it is, buy a lunch and we gift a lunch to a child at school. So those sorts of things are what people are looking for, because it's a feel good. They're buying something, but there's a feel good in it. And that's what humans like. They like to feel good. So that's sort of the wrap up of our 2021 in review. We're now going to move ahead into our predictions on trends for 2022. And also after that, we've got a little bit of some tips for you. But heading into this, so digital marketing and purchasing online. So we already talked about it, so I won't spend too much time on it, but buy now, pay later, 2022, it is massively going to increase. And Rhonda said it very correctly. If you don't have an option for this, whether you're a service or product business, you are going to be missing out on sales, because people will be looking for these. I think in New Zealand now we have about 9 different companies that offer this, and they offer it from sort of I think it's up to about a 2,000 limit, and then there's companies that offer for larger purchases up to 10 grand as well. So I think it's important to look at this option, whether it be on your website or actually something they use in store, because you're going to be missing out on potential customers if you do not use this. And most of the time for your websites, they're quite easy to connect to, as long as there's connections for those platforms. So just a quick bit here. So paying in installments is a growing trend, and it is very popular among females, which make up 70% of the payers. I laugh about that because I buy my husband's tools from the tool shed and I use the lay-by option, but it's not for me, it's for him. He just gets me to do it. So
It's funny.
I'm a female doing it, but it's actually for him. So yeah, that it's definitely going to keep growing, and I would expect that a few more pop up over the next year as well. Then we're going to really want to focus on, for 2022, digital content for engagement. So we want to focus on digital content strategies and being quite heavy on this. So this means looking at either getting a blog in place if you don't have one, or be posting on a social platform quite a lot, or generating sort of newsletters out to your customers or looking at some sort of messenger marketing campaigns. So what we're seeing is more and more people are digesting content a lot more and in a lot of spaces. When people are sort of on their phone, that's all they're actually doing. They're just looking at content. And so if you're not got a content strategy or you don't have a lot of content, this is going to be a space that you'll need to look at for 2022, because it's growing and there's not much we can do to stop that. So as more businesses do go digital, showing up on your customers' feeds is no longer going to be enough. Okay, so this is where they're demanding high quality content that deliver value to them and are created around what the customer needs and wants. Okay, and then so using this content, so using these platforms wherever your clients are, is just going to strengthen your customer's relationship with your brand. Then, oh, I'm clicking on the wrong thing, sorry. Then something that I really wanted to put in here, and it's one of those things where if you have the time, do it. If you don't, then it's okay. But something that's going to start coming through more and more is voice search. Okay, so voice search is when you talk to your phone and you go, look for this, or what's the weather today, or, set an alarm. People are getting more and more used to talking to their phone, talking to their little Alexa, and doing activities that way. So as that continues to grow, we've not seen a decrease in it. Voice search will then start being how we work. Okay, and what that means is there are ways in your platform that you incorporate keywords, etc., for voice search. And it's similar to search engine optimization, but it is slightly different with the way that you would use your keywords here. So this is where you need to start looking at conversational language. What would someone who's asking Alexa ask to look for? Show me where's the closest coffee shop, for example, is what someone would say. And that's what you're looking for in the voice search. Or local coffee shops if they really actually minimize what they're saying. So this is something that is still growing. It's still in early stages, but it's definitely going to hit within the next few years. And you need to look at your industry and what people are doing to see if there's something that's suited for your business or not. Did you hear something, Rhonda? No?
Yeah. I just popped my video off so that our little windows didn't get in the way of the words. But I was just thinking, I really do feel that this is in line with the video content which you're about to talk about. But I can remember 2 years ago when we were talking about video content looking like it's on the rise. Now it's an essential. And then voice search is very similar. I'm getting the feeling that it's on the rise, and I can see in a couple of years it's going to be an essential. So to start being a leader in that area for your business will really differentiate yourself, and you'll get some really good gains from it.
No, definitely. And yeah, like you said, video content. So it does help. So we know that 92% of marketers from Disney, they said they consider video an important part. And it just goes back to relating to people are wanting to see video. People are consuming content, and the easiest content for them to consume is video. What I think's most funniest here is it's video with subtitles.
Yeah, no,
So
it's true.
Yeah, so it's not video with audio. That's helpful for people who do that, but a lot of people will actually do the video with subtitles because they're watching TV at the same time as they're watching their phone, or they're doing something, they're looking at something else or listening to something
Watching the
else.
kids do something on the playground while they're scrolling and searching.
Yeah, so video with subtitles in particular is really popular, but people do still listen to the audio, so it's important to have something there. But it's just to be aware that, we have TikTok, we have Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn's even started it as well. Video content is going to become the way forward, videos and voice. Really, it's around audio and seeing, because people are coming down to, they're not reading as much as what we used to. It is sad, but that's just the reality of the way we're moving forward, because the devices we have allow us more to digest video and voice search a lot easier. So these are key areas to be looking at. And so that's the wrap, I believe. Yeah. Oh no, I forgot one. So the last bit is messenger marketing. So this is really new in this space. It has been around for a couple of years, and I think similar to what Rhonda was just saying about the voice and the video, it's starting to come into its own. And it's one of those things where you can be ahead by jumping on early, or you can wait till it really starts off. So the way to look at messenger marketing is to think email marketing, except using messenger, so using chat. And this isn't just setting up your Facebook chat to say, if someone goes, what are your hours? It comes up with a response. This is taking it to a next step where someone interacts with a post on Facebook and then they get sent a message, or they actually get signed up technically for your messenger marketing. It might be similar to what we do for our webinars. We offer that people can sign up through a chat bot if that's the way that it goes. So messenger marketing is coming around. It has higher percentage open rates. It has more interaction than what email marketing does for most people who actually have a higher social following. So if you are someone who's a lot heavier on their social content or a lot more active in that space, this messenger marketing is going to be a key space for you. And I think it's important to sort of look at tools that could be utilized, because this is, once it's set up, it's automated, and therefore it's not taking your time day to day, and you can actually be using it in your marketing more and more. So this, I think, is a key thing, because it's something that doesn't need your constant input, which always makes life easier for a business owner. So that's the wrap on our digital marketing and purchasing trends for 2022. We are now moving into what tips and how you can get ready.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. I've just popped into the chat there a link to our webinar on messenger marketing. And it's funny because as we're going through all these things, Lisa and I have done webinars on video content, on, on buy now, pay later, all these things that we're talking about. And I think that's why we were both wanting to be part of today, is the trends that we've really seen and have already tried to address, but we're trying to bring them all together in this webinar. But please just check out the webinar library, because you'll find specific helps and videos on these different areas. But if we're looking at the data, I think one of the interesting things is when you operate your business, you always have an opportunity to collect data, and now's a good time to capitalize on that data, analyze it, and use it to form a base plan for 2022. And it's a big rule we use here at Zealed, is don't just look at what you think is flash or would be helpful, but to actually use the data to help guide you where to spend your money so that you get the best return on that investment. So from a marketing perspective, review your digital marketing campaigns for the year and see which events or campaigns brought you the best return of investment. Take a closer look at each campaign and assess each element. What graphics, look at the targeting, look at the budget, right down to the messaging. Was there video added? Did that make a difference in some of them? All these sorts of things you've got to kind of analyze down to. And write down which elements and aspects of the campaigns brought you the most conversions. And this should provide you an insight into your customers' preferences and allow you to create better and smarter marketing campaigns. Of course, Google Analytics is key to reviewing your website traffic. Use Google Analytics to track campaigns where you can get the most traffic from your site. And not all of your marketing campaigns are bound to work. It's just how things are. But what you should get from even ones that don't work is you should learn from them and learn elements that were stronger, parts of them that didn't work. And so basically you can use this to help design and work out a way forward for 2022. And this is where we really recommend you start to create a marketing plan for 2022. By creating a digital marketing plan, you'll have a document that contains your detailed course of action for the year. It really does help, because with Mother's Day or any of these events, you don't need to think about what you're doing. You already have something sorted. You've got a plan for it. You've got what you've learnt from last year already set up, and how to put things into action for this year. And it's obviously great if those plans look at goals, budgets, unique value propositions, whether the video content of each, what your offer's going to be, etc. it's great to plan out the whole 12 months. It's a lot of work to get done, but it's well worth it. But look, even if you're a small business, a one-man band, just do it in 3 month chunks. Getting a plan for a smaller period is still worthwhile doing. So it's one of those things that even if 12 months is too big a task for you, do it a month at a time, 3 months at a time. But planning ahead based on stats will really help make sure your 22 activities will be more likely to be effective for you and your business. And again, we've had previous webinars on how to do marketing plans, so check them out. We've got previous webinars on Google Analytics tools, website analytics tools, etc. to use. Just coming to the next screen. So this here has some really interesting stats. So 78 of people watch videos at least every week. 78% of people in the whole world. 55% of people watch video daily. And 54% of consumers sold say they want to see video content from brands they support. So they're calling out for it. So if you're not going to provide it for them, your competitor will. And that's something you've got to really kind of figure out. There's no point fighting this video content aspect. You've got to have it, and it's not necessarily to get ahead, it's to actually be seen equal to your competitors now. So graphics and video enhance the overall structure of your website and are better tools than text when it comes to retaining customer attention and providing information. Adding videos and images make your content more digestible and engaging, and they're two key parts to all of your marketing. It's not just what you like, you've got to put out there what's digestible and what's engaging to your potential customers. And as the stats say, consumers are drawn to video. So use video and graphics in the key content pages of your website, the homepage, key landing pages for promotions, your top products, and your About Us. As a bare minimum, should have key graphics and also video content. So use video in your social media campaigns as well. So I think this is really important. Video is not just for social media, not just for your marketing. Video and graphics are a key part of websites. And then you tie it in with your social media and your marketing campaigns. So Facebook videos, stories, we've already talked about Instagram Reels, etc. And you do these again to do those two big keywords, digestible and engageable content.
I think the other key thing there is you don't have to have high-end tech to take video. A lot of people actually just use their phone.
Yeah.
And that is enough. But I mean, there's some key elements, make sure the lighting's right, things like that. But most people just use their phone video these days. And there's actually a lot of cheap, I guess, cheaper tools or cheaper other products you can buy to help with your imagery or your videos. And so it is something that anyone can be doing. It's just a point, I guess, of getting started.
Yeah, and we did a webinar on one particular tool to just show how easy it was to create a video element, and they had no unique video content. It was stuff all grabbed from this tool. So you don't necessarily, I think everyone thinks they've got to go out and create all this video content. Actually, you don't necessarily have to. It can come from a stock video.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're thinking case studies, etc., have a Zoom with a client and have them answer some questions for you and then cut it into a video. That's one way we've done some of our case studies because it's just so easy.
Yeah, definitely.
So moving into some more tips that you can do. So I think the important thing is, yes, there's all these trends. Yes, there's all this data, and that is very exciting and what you should use to make decisions. But the one key thing, it's a key trend, it's a key element that is always there, is trust building and customer service. So whenever there's surveys, this always comes up. It's in all the data and everything we see, trust building and customer service is just going to be the strongest aspects that people are looking for. So 81% of consumers said that trust is a deciding factor in their purchase decisions. So they have to trust the company to purchase from them or go with them for their services. 73% said that a positive experience is key in influencing their brand loyalties. So that's, you know, after the transaction potentially. It's also before the transaction if they had a question and it got answered quickly. And then 83% of customers said they feel more loyal to brands that respond and resolve their complaints. So just because something bad or something's not quite going to plan doesn't mean it's the end of the world if you deal with it in the right way or you respond in the right way, because you can still have someone be quite negative and not really take the options you're providing, but still dealing with it in the right way does show others that you're there to try and help and come up with reasonable solutions. And they can actually see sometimes maybe the customer was a bit more demanding. So for this, I think it's very important to be focusing still throughout the year, but in particular, I guess, over this holiday period, if you're not working or there's a space that you have that you're not as busy, you should focus on building trust and ensuring a positive experience for customers through your website and digital marketing. I think probably, I haven't written in here, but a key part, if you do have chats or you have ways people can contact you through your website that's not a phone, you not responding to that chat or that email is you essentially hanging up the phone on that person. So I think that's very important to remember when it comes to how quickly you respond to things. So how can we do this? Do a website check-in. So I love this one. I've said it a lot. So close your eyes and then load your homepage, open your eyes and see what sticks out first. Okay, so is it the UVP? Is it the unique value proposition that has your quick elevator pitch? Is it the call to action, CTA? If it's neither of those, you need to reassess that loading part of your homepage. And the reason why is because these are the key. This is the message to tell someone they're in the right place, and the call to action is to drive them through to the next interaction or scroll down a bit more. If neither of those stand out, and let's say the menu stands out, then you've got a problem. Okay, so that's first part of that trust building, because you're telling someone who you are. Then check in on your About Us page. Is it personalized? Does it tell your story? So building trust does mean just being honest, saying why you started your business, saying what's important about your business, saying what you stand for, or pointing out the unique thing about you. Like I said, people are standing for people who use biodegradable or recyclable packaging. You know, if you use that or why you use that, it's important to state that. And the About Us page is a great space for that. Are your reviews, testimonials, snapshots of the work you have done current? So are they up to date? Do they actually show what work you do or people's reviews of your current products? People still buy from people, and that trust element of building trust with your company comes from building trust with other people who have purchased off you. We still see that. We want to know that someone else had a good experience. We want to know someone else liked the product. Then another key one, which I think often gets lost, how easy is your navigation? So can people easily go to a product? Do they have to click through lots of pages to get to a product? If they do, reassess how your conversion pathway and reassess how many clicks people are doing to actually get to where you need them to go. And then this sort of leads into the next one, which is, are there leaks in your website conversion pathway? So are customers visiting your product or services pages, but they're not making purchases? Where's the leak? You know, so look at that data that Sharinda was talking about. See where people are sort of stopping in your conversion pathway, because that's the bit that you need to solve. And quite often it ends up being a website because the conversion pathway isn't thought through, and because it's a moving project. So you're always adding pages, or you're adding this, or you're adding that. But what we don't often review is actually the conversion pathway is still quite seamless and straightforward for people. And then second to this, so this is more trust building and experience, and we're going to head a bit more into the customer service now. So website's important, digital marketing is important, but what happens after that inquiry or sale? Okay, so that is super important, because once someone has purchased or has chosen you as a service provider, how do you then deliver on that? Is the delivery seamless? Is it quick? Obviously, we know with couriers at the moment, it's been a bit crazy, but you know, having a little notice to let people know, hey, 2 to 3 weeks, we try our best, but this is what the courier can offer us. Are there set response times? So do people know if they reach out, you're getting back in touch in 12 hours, or you're getting back in touch in a day? What expectation are you setting with your clients? And are they good expectations for your industry? So that's also another thing to think of. If you use Messenger, you use Facebook Messenger, if you're not responding probably within a few hours, that's a problem because people see that as an instant chat. Whereas if it's an inquiry through a form or an email, they allow a longer wait time on that because people are used to sending emails and waiting up to a day for a response. So then what else to do? Review your fulfillment process, see if it's meeting customer expectations. What questions are you commonly getting answered? Are people always following up on where their order's at? If they are, and these are questions you're seeing, it means there's something wrong with the fulfillment process and it's not meeting your customers' expectations, or you're not setting the expectations correctly with them. Okay, and then the next step, so instead of looking at things to resolve, the next step is how to get repeat sales. So how to improve the customer service so people come back. So what you want to do is you want to encourage customers to return, or if you're not a service or a product that people would buy again, then encourage them to refer. Okay, and how you can do this is you can set up nurturing campaigns through email marketing, through messenger marketing, and you can encourage them to either do repeat purchases, give them a sneak peek of a new product coming in that they might be interested in, or hey, refer a free and get 10% off, or give them 10% off, lots of little things to encourage repeat purchases and establish brand relationships and customer retention. And I think this is key and often forgotten about, because what you've got to remember, if you've already done all the hard work to get them there, don't lose them once they've made that first purchase and lose out on that initial return of investment, because they're the cheaper option rather than having to reinvest the whole marketing chain again to get someone to replace that person because you didn't focus on this end of it. Okay, so that's pretty much it. For now, we are off to our questions. That's a lot.
Awesome, Lisa. It is a lot. So if you've got any questions, pop them in the chat. Anything, it doesn't have to be confined to this. If you've just got questions at all, we can give them a go. But I do have some questions here. I think one of the obvious questions to me is, what if my product is not very sexy? If with video being really promoted, but how am I going to make my non-sexy product very attractive in video? And is really video important for me when my product's like that? What do you think, Lisa?
Yeah, I do laugh because it's very true. But this is where you don't always have to have your product be sexy. This is, I think, where some people have turned to, it's funny, like we've got this something unique to our company that might be a little funny ad that we do, like show us your crack.
Yeah.
Get your windows fixed. That, it's not a sexy product. It's not a sexy service. Come fix your window. But they made this little parody is almost what it is. And that has stuck.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what people look for. So that's one way you can really, yes, sexy is good, especially in video, like making it attractive, making people go, oh, I want that. But sometimes it's not the be all and end all because there's other ways to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking too, it depends on the purpose of the video, right, too, because you've got, maybe on social media you need to make that quirky, but if it's actually a how-to video on your website, that you're trying to show how someone's used it, or a review video that someone's used it and they're just telling you what they thought of it, then they don't need to be sexy, right? In fact, more boring, showing the detail and that it can actually do its job is the purpose of the video.
Well, you've actually reminded me about something on the weekend. We were looking at wall mounting something, and it's not a TV, it's our PlayStation. And we were trying to find a video, and one video was a female, okay? And I think they were using her to try and make it a more attractive video. And it was really boring because she just kept talking. And we were like, we just want to see how you would hang it. And by the time we actually got to how to do it, it was like we had already passed the first half of the video. And I think you're very right in what you're saying. A how-to video can be very helpful, and it doesn't need to be attractive or anything because it's showing people information, and people like finding out information or what they need to know. So I think you're very right in that. You don't always have to make it attractive or have something that stands out to someone. It's giving them information.
Yeah, I mean, when I bought my mixer, my food mixer, I bought it off the back of videos that I found of people using it and their reviews of
Mm.
it. So I didn't really care what it looked like. I wanted it to be able to handle large volumes of especially bread dough, which some mixers can't handle. And they actually showed me videos of people doing that. And I
Awesome.
think, if that was on a particular supplier's site, I would have purchased from them. That would have helped me resolve which one I wanted really a lot quicker. So, yeah, I think it is. What's your purpose of your video? And then, sexy doesn't necessarily need to come into it. um, I've got another question here. If a business is short on time or low on resources, what trend do you think is the biggest to look for or to really invest that time into? So, you kind of spread a bit thin, you can't do everything, but what's the most important thing for them, would you say?
Yeah. So if you do have the availability of existing data, reviewing that first is going to be key because you will find easily which one brought you the most revenue. But if you don't have that or you're wanting to try something new, I'm going to say it's going to be video
Mm,
because it's something that's growing. And like you mentioned, 2 years ago, not we were saying, hey, it's up and coming, and now it's here, and it's going to continue down that path. And so it's finding ways to incorporate that into your day-to-day life at work. I think what people forget is maybe you work in a construction type industry and you're doing a renovation or something. Cool, just walk around the house while you're there and do some video. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to be something that then maybe you can add some text to later, or some sort of, you could be talking through as you
mm,
walk around. So just thinking of ways to start is key. But I do have to say, if you've not got the luxury of looking at past data, or it's not really telling you much, video is going to be something that you need to look at.
brilliant. Thank you. Another question. Okay, the volume of online spending has been big this year. With COVID getting under control, fingers crossed for next year, what are the chances of online spending decreasing? And therefore, should I be looking at getting traditional marketing sorted just in case we go back to having a real concentration on bricks and mortar?
So, I mean, yes, I work in a digital industry, but it's not going to decrease back to the way we were, if that makes
Mm,
sense. So I said earlier, not only has, yes, this, we always saw this happening in like the next 5 years.
mm,
So it was always the trends prior to the pandemic where it was trending upwards. All the pandemic did was make it happen in the last 2 years instead of over the next 5. Okay. And so you're not going to see, you might see little drops like what you saw because we've just had this concentrated periods. But what we're seeing overall is the ongoing increase. And so what you need to do is, there will be, if your industry needs it, or what you offer, there are still some means for traditional marketing, but I feel you need to look at what that mix is and start looking more towards digital and how you can incorporate that in a lot more, rather than just resorting back to traditional. So
mm,
it's one of those things, and I feel so cliche, it's here to stay, but it was always going to happen. It's just basically increase the speed of it happening. And you've got to then also, I guess there, it's then thinking about your audience. If your audience is on radio, then focus on radio. But if it's not, then focus on your digital spaces, because that's where people are. Or maybe have a very low percentage in radio and the rest in digital.
mm.
So that's just an example. But even the newspapers are realizing that their traditional paper newspapers going out of trend and pushing people to be subscribing online to newspapers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see a lot of industries moving that way.
And I think even if you do have a bricks and mortar shop, people will be doing a lot of searching
Mm.
online. And I think we forget that a lot of purchasing decisions or engagement decisions are made before someone walks in your door. And so if you're not promoting your a presence online, it does affect your trust and credibility, which can stop business. So it's not necessarily that you need to drop everything bricks and mortar, but you've got to have an online presence. And And if you're not marketing that, then your competitors are nowadays. So it used to be that, if you marketed it online, you could be a leader and therefore get a lot of business. And if you didn't necessarily lose out on a lot. But nowadays, I think what it is everybody's online, and if you're not even going to get looked at. So I think that's kind of the mindset you've got to get into now, is that you've got to be there. What that exactly looks like, there's a few mixes to it, but you've got to be there.
You keep reminding me of things. So recently, my niece, it was her birthday, and part of it was that her mum's going to take her, my sister's going to take her on a shopping trip. She doesn't like going out though. She doesn't like being in shops. So it's funny because it's similar to me. I actually suggested to her to go online to the shop she would like to buy the clothes from and pick out what she likes, and so that when they go to the shop to try everything on, because they weren't quite sure on sizing and stuff, she's then just specifically looking at the things she's actually already pre-picked, and that way it saves the time, it saves her anxiety about being in the store, and will make the experience a lot more positive for her. So that's just another example of how, if you're not online, people don't have those opportunities, like you mentioned, to do research or pre-look. And I mean, I do it myself. I look online first and go, oh great, oh, shipping's too much, I'll just go down to the store and get it because it's nearby, or something like that. But I think, people, I mean, I've just suggested it to my niece to go, hey, go in store to do the sizing, but actually pick out what you like beforehand, because people are saving time.
Yeah.
And people are wanting to spend time elsewhere and not in stores anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, awesome. I think we've got a chat. I'll just check that before we go. One from Owen. In the past, it was said content is king. Is content still very important, especially background info?
So, I mean, we've said throughout, content is still the key. It's just making sure it's engaging content and actually heading towards the video content, which people are consuming easier. But you still need that background info. If I'm right, this is where I'd say your About Us page or how you started, because it tells your story, it tells your values, and people will buy from people that relate to them and still want that personal element. But their content that they're going to be digesting is moving into video. So content's still king. It hasn't changed from that. It's just the way that content is delivered, or the type of content it is. Emails in the past would have been a lot bigger and a lot more word heavy, text heavy, but now you'll be seeing a lot more images or a lot more videos coming through.
Brilliant. I hope that answered your question, Owen. I think that's about all we have time for, unless anyone else has got a question. I can't see anything, but I'll just start to wrap up. We'll just jump back to our slides. So just a bit of a recap about what we've talked about. The first 3 quarters of 2021 have been a massive jump in online transactions from New Zealand consumers. Despite the rise of online overseas orders, the majority of orders still come from local retailers and sellers. Social media marketing retains its position as one of the top marketing trends for 2021. And an optimized website, detailed marketing plan, efficient customer service, and high quality visual content are key factors for a successful 2022. Just a little bit about Zeld. So we've helped over 15,000 businesses transform digitally over the last 20 years. I've been with Zeld for over 12 years, so I feel like a part of the furniture, and I've seen Zeld help businesses succeed. If you would like your website audited for free, or even getting an idea around a potential digital strategy for your business, then please get in touch. We provide free strategy or website audit sessions with our team of experienced digital business strategists. At the beginning of the pandemic last year, we launched our Get E-commerce movement. It's called GEM. It's an initiative available to all small to medium-sized businesses who need to get online. And so we offer free website builds for e-commerce, service and charity businesses with no sale, no hosting arrangement for the first 12 months. If you'd like to know more or know someone who could benefit from a free website, please just get them to get in touch. Our next webinar is on the 2nd of February. Wow, that seems so far away, but I bet you it's going to come quickly. A special thanks to you all for joining Lisa and I today. I've enjoyed discussing things. I hope it's been helpful in some way. If you missed a part of the webinar or would like to see it again, we do record all of these, and they are found on our website and YouTube channel. We will also send you a link to today's webinar recording later, during which you can, if you rewatch, you can actually submit questions during the rewatch as well. If you know anyone that might benefit from attending these in future, please share the registration links, and we will start to advertise the new one just after in the new year, like second week of January, ready for our first webinar on the 2nd of February. But I just want to wish you all a happy and safe December and January, and look forward to seeing you in the new year.
Thanks everyone for joining.
Awesome. Bye, everybody.